Have you ever experienced a pain that divided your life into two parts? Before it happened, and after it happened. Think about that carefully. Some pain passes quickly. A disappointment. A setback. A difficult day. But other pain leaves a mark. Not always visible. Not always obvious. Yet it changes the way a person sees the world. The way they think. The way they trust. The way they live. And maybe many people are carrying that kind of pain right now. A loss they never expected. A betrayal they never saw coming. A prayer that seemed unanswered. A chapter they wish had never happened. Because some experiences do more than hurt. They transform. The question is whether that transformation becomes destructive or meaningful. Think about some of the most significant people in Scripture. Many of them were shaped by painful seasons. Not despite them. Through them. Think about Joseph. He was betrayed by his own brothers. Sold into slavery. Separated from everything familiar. Imagine the pain of realizing that the people closest to you were the source of your suffering. That kind of pain changes a person. Yet Joseph's story did not end there. The pain became part of his journey. Not the end of it. Now think about David. Before becoming king, he experienced rejection. Fear. Loss. Years of uncertainty. He spent time hiding in caves while carrying a promise that seemed far away. Those experiences shaped him. Not because pain is good, but because pain often teaches lessons comfort never could. And maybe that is one of the hardest truths to accept. Growth and pain frequently travel together. Not always, but often. Think about your own life. What lessons have stayed with you the longest? Many people discover that their deepest wisdom came from difficult seasons. Not easy ones? Because comfort rarely forces people to change. Pain does. Pain gets attention. Pain forces reflection. Pain asks questions that success often allows people to ignore. Who am I? What really matters? What can I control? What must I let go of? These are difficult questions. Yet many people only begin asking them after experiencing loss or hardship. Now think carefully about how people respond to pain. Some become bitter. They allow the wound to define them. They replay the hurt endlessly. They build walls around their hearts. And over time, the pain becomes their identity. But others choose a different path. They do not deny the pain. They do not pretend it never happened. Instead, they allow the experience to teach them. To deepen them. To strengthen them. That does not mean the pain disappears. It means the pain no longer controls the entire story. And perhaps that distinction matters. Because pain is powerful. But it does not have to become the author of a person's future. Now think about something many people overlook. Healing does not always mean returning to who you were before. Think about that carefully. Some experiences change people permanently. The loss remains real. The memory remains real. The scar remains real. And sometimes healing means learning how to move forward as a different person. A wiser person. A stronger person. A more compassionate person. Not because the pain was desirable, but because it became part of the journey. Consider a tree that survives a storm. the storm may leave marks. Broken branches, visible scars. Yet the tree continues growing. In some cases, its roots become stronger because of what it endured. And maybe people are similar. The goal is not to avoid every scar. That is impossible. The goal is to ensure the scar becomes evidence of survival rather than defeat. Now think about modern culture. People are often told to hide pain. Ignore it. Distract themselves from it. Move on quickly. But real healing rarely happens that way. Healing requires honesty. It requires acknowledging the wound. It requires patience. And sometimes it requires accepting that recovery takes longer than expected. Because deep wounds heal slowly. Yet slow healing is still healing. That is important to remember. Especially for people who feel frustrated with their progress. You may not be where you want to be. But that does not mean growth is not happening. You may still carry questions. You may still carry sadness. But healing is not measured by the complete absence of pain. Sometimes healing is measured by the ability to keep moving forward despite it. Now think about one of the most powerful truths in Scripture. Again and again, God works through broken people. People with scars. People with failures. People with painful histories. Why? Because brokenness does not automatically disqualify a person from purpose. In fact, some of the people who have the greatest impact are those who understand suffering. Those who know what it means to struggle. Those who have walked through darkness and emerged with wisdom. And maybe that gives hope to someone listening right now. Maybe you feel changed by what happened to you. Maybe life looks different than you expected. Maybe there are wounds that still ache. If so, remember this. Being changed by pain is not the same as being destroyed by it. The experience may have altered you. But it does not have to define your future. The chapter may have been painful. But it is not necessarily the final chapter. Because stories continue. Healing continues. Growth continues. And purpose continues. Even after heartbreak. Even after loss. Even after disappointment. Now think carefully about this. What if the goal is not to become the person you were before the pain? What if the goal is to become someone stronger because of what you survived? Someone wiser. Someone deeper. Someone more compassionate. Someone who understands both suffering and hope. Because some pain changes people forever. That is true. But sometimes the change becomes the beginning of a new kind of strength. A strength that could not have been developed any other way. So the real question is not, why did this pain happen? Maybe the real question is, what kind of person am I becoming because of it? Think about that carefully. Because your pain may be part of the story. But it does not have to be the end of the story. If this message encouraged you, subscribe to Grace Unseen for more hope-filled biblical truths, deeper meanings, and timeless wisdom from Scripture. And before you go, leave a comment below. What difficult season taught you something you never would have learned otherwise? Your story may help someone else find hope in the middle of their own.